Howdy, hey! We are live on a Wednesday. How's it going, everybody? Today is Wednesday, which is usually, well, it is not usually, it is New Comic Book Day all across the world, I think. Or is it just an American thing? Maybe international folks, if you can let me know in the comments or the chat, whether or not New Comic Day is on Wednesday everywhere. But it definitely is New Comic Book Day where I am from. And I just went to the store today. And usually what I do is I'll pick up, kind of go browse, peruse, and pick up the books either that I'm expecting or looking forward to, or discover some new books that I didn't find at all, or didn't plan on picking up at all. And so today, there's a few comic book store sites that I watch their YouTube videos that they usually post on Tuesdays of what is coming out on Wednesday. So it's cool because it gives you a little bit of like a precursor and you kind of know what to expect. And so I watched a couple of those videos and it seemed like this week was thin for a lot of stores. I'm not sure if it was what the reasoning was. I heard for one of the stores it was like a shipping thing. And then for another store it just so happened that whatever it was, whatever the shipment was this week was just thin, particularly from DC, I think it was. So I knew that this week probably wouldn't find any books. And when that happens, I have to think about, okay, what am I going to talk about on Wednesday? Because I want to be pretty consistent with trying to put out something every week that has to do with the new books that I'm reading. That was the whole point of starting this YouTube channel. I know it's evolved to a bunch of different things, but that's kind of the main cornerstone that I started off my first video on this channel. And it's something that is part of comic book culture. And so I just want to, keep posting about new things each week. So knowing all that, knowing that it was pretty thin this week, I went into the store and one of the books that I saw was coming out was Thundercats #1, written by Declan Shalvey and, oh man, who is the artist on that book? Last name is Moss. Is it Drew Moss? Okay, now I'm going to look. Otherwise it's going to bother me. 1 second here. Thundercats #1. And the artist is... Oh my gosh, there's so many variant covers on this. Drew Moss. That's right, Drew Moss. So, in light of all the kind of nostalgic Saturday morning cartoon properties that have come out recently, like Transformers, these books that I'm talking about right now are from Skybound Entertainment, under the umbrella of the Energon universe. So Transformers, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero by Larry Hama. Ooh, am I hot here on my sound? Duke and Cobra Commander. All of those books have been coming out and they've all been really good, actually. I've been super surprised at how much fun they've been consistently across the board. So Thundercats is not under that umbrella, but I think it just kind of the timing of it came out at the same time, whether that was intentional or not, and piqued my interest. And then I noticed that a lot of buzz was coming around it, and they have 20 million variant covers. and one of the variant covers is being drawn by Rob Liefeld, so that kind of boosted a lot of attention. Rob Liefeld being one of the founding fathers of Image Comics and creator of Deadpool and Cable, a lot of the X books that I grew up with in the 90s. He was part of that Image revolution. So there was a lot of hype around this book. And then, like I said, tons of variant covers and artists joining in. So that got me excited to go. And I've mentioned it a few times on my streams and in my videos and on my social media that I'm a huge, huge, huge fan of Declan Shalvey. He is one of my favorite writer-artists out working right now in comics, and most of the stuff that he's touched, I've loved. And just saw a thumbs up. All right, cool. Phantom thumbs up. That wasn't me. So anyway, when I heard that Declan Shalvey was writing it, I was pretty excited, and he released some artwork of the initial covers that he's done for the book that's coming out. So long story short, I went to the comic book store today and looked at Thundercats #1, and I actually didn't pick it up. And part of the reason... Oh, hang on. Who do we have here? What's up, KSSS? How are you doing? It's you and me. That's right, baby. I'm streaming at a weird time today. Different time, I should say. And when I started it off, it's always funny because when I hit go live now, I always have this voice in my head of like, oh shoot, I'm not ready. And I start panicking a little bit. And that's where all the technical problems go. And I actually had a technical problem again at the beginning of this stream. But, so yeah, and then I'm always kind of keeping out of the corner of my eye if people step into the chat. Hey, speak of the devil. My friend Mark's Music Obsession is here. Hey, Rocky, I'm late. No problem, Mark. When you say you're late, that is indicating that there was actually a scheduled time for this to happen. And other than the YouTube notification, I didn't really schedule this properly. I just said, hey, I have some time here. Why don't I stream live? So anyway, just to catch you guys up, I went to the comic book store and was looking at Thundercats #1, and I didn't pick it up, even though it was written by Declan Shalvey, who is one of my favorite writer artists today. Why didn't I pick it up? Why didn't I pick it up? As I was flipping through it and reading it, it just felt a little young for me, to be honest. And the thing that has attracted me to Transformers and all those books I mentioned, Duke, Cobra Commander, G.I. Joe Real American Hero, is they kind of aged it up in the gravity of the stories that they're telling and the art, I'd say. And when I was looking through Thundercats, I was actually hoping that it would be that way. And maybe it will be that way. I'll definitely look at the second issue when it comes out and kind of make a decision there. But when I was reading through the first issue, I was like, feels a little young for me. And even the art style felt a little young. It felt like it was authentic and connected to the original show, which I loved as a kid. But it didn't totally connect with me. So I didn't pick it up. KSSS says it's 5:17 p.m., so it's kind of a time when people are getting off of work in the East. Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. I was thinking about that as far as like when I release content and trying to be a little bit more strategic and intentional of what time I do, which makes it difficult when people are all over the time zones. So that's a really good point. I think right now my schedule is just kind of fitting in my day when I have a little break, and also when I don't have to like run around doing errands or whatever. So, and before people come home, because I'm working at home. So it's a little bit of a juggling act. And the other reason why, not to get off subject, but the other reason why I wanted to do my Wednesday Comics live today and try it out was usually I do the pre-recorded videos and they were late at night. And as I was watching some of my older ones, they're like really sleepy and I look really tired. And maybe that's the thing. But I just wanted to try one where I had a little bit more energy and was more in the middle of the day. Hence, right now. All right, here we go. Some opinions on Thundercats. Lion-O is annoying. Maybe you didn't notice as a kid, but once you hit about age 15 or older, you realize he's a whiny protagonist whose sword calls for help. That is an excellent, excellent point. And I think I actually felt that as a kid, too. Lion-O was never my favorite of the Thundercats. I really loved Panthro, I think because he had the crazy colored red and blue nunchucks. And to be honest, I did like Wily Cat and Wily Kit just because I think they were more my age. So they had that like entry point for kids our age. And I liked Chitara because she was awesome. She was incredible in that intro. Her sequence is so good in that intro. But yeah, Lion-O always felt like a little boy, which he was, a little boy in a man's body. And I think that's where the whininess came from. He wasn't mature enough to really be the man that he was supposed to be. That's the story, right? He grows into that role, but yeah, I agree. It's kind of whiny. Mark's Music Obsession says, I'm in part of Florida at Central Time, so 4:19 for me. Okay, cool. Nice. Yeah, see, it's hard to track. It's hard to know when is the right time. I'm experimenting actually more with my YouTube shorts when those come out, and it does seem like time matters. It's a little bit random of which ones get more views over other ones. But I think time period and schedule of release. So that's what I'm playing around with right now. KSSS says, my favorite Thundercats were Panthro and Tigra. Yeah. It's always like the side characters, right? Panthro was awesome. Again, I think it was like the nunchucks thing that did it for me. So anyway, going back to that story, I didn't pick up the book, which was a shame because, like I said, I love Declan Shalvey. He's great. He's a great writer, great artist, and he's done amazing things in mainstream and independent. And I feel like not enough people are talking about him, and I've always wanted to do a stream that went over some of his work because he's got a lot of work. He puts out a lot of work, and that guy works hard, and he's really prolific, and he's a hustler. Follow him on social media. He has a YouTube channel. He's starting to post a lot of videos with interviews with other creators he's worked with. And he's doing a lot for Irish creators because he himself is Irish. So that's awesome. Like he's just working like mad and building up his resume. So I want to support that and kind of highlight that. So I thought because Thundercats really didn't do it for me, and again, I'll give it a try when I see maybe issue 2 and see if it like picks up some steam. But I did want to focus today on Declan Shalvey's work. And then I thought, well, I could record a pre-recorded video, but there's a lot of work and it would be a really long pre-recorded video. So, and I would be really tired to begin with. So I thought, hey, I'll do it live. And that's why we are here. And that was the longest explanation ever. So anyway, let's get to it. I don't know if anybody in the chat, KSSS or Mark's Music Obsession, if you are familiar with Shalvey's work at all. But it's my privilege to introduce you to. The first time that I was introduced to his work was he came in as the artist on Moon Knight. Have you guys seen this? This was written by Warren Ellis, who is, pretty much an acclaimed comic book writer. I think he got to start in like the 2000s, at least in mainstream comics. But Declan Shalvey, when I first saw the very first issue of this, I was like, who is this guy? Like, I had never really heard of him. I wasn't familiar with his work. And this representation of Moon Knight was so different than what I was used to. Like I was used to like the big cape and, the kind of the classic Bill Sienkiewicz Moon Knight styling. And so this new version, and they advertised it a lot, was the one that was prominent in the TV show, the Marvel TV show. This is before the Marvel TV show. This comic came out before the Marvel TV show, obviously. But they played him up like this rich, almost like a Batman Bruce Wayne character, like a white suit, and then he had this hood on. KSSS says, I am familiar, but for the sake of the stream, pretend that I'm not. Talk to me like I'm 4. Okay. I can do that. All right, let me go to a closer shot here so you can see better. So yeah, this was Declan Shalvey's work. And so he did, and so like within, how many pages was this? 1, 2, 3, 4 pages were introduced to this version of Moon Knight. And I was like, okay, whoa, like it felt a lot less superhero-y, a lot more gritty, kind of down-to-earth city. Again, like a Batman feel to him. And also, it was striking. The artwork was striking. The colors were striking. And the way that Declan was telling his stories and kind of using panel layouts was really unique. So I was like, okay, who is this guy? Like stuff like this, right? Or just his progression of panels here. It's really awesome. This is a great page. So yeah, it was obvious then that like he didn't have a style that I could pinpoint of, oh yeah, he draws like so-and-so, or he's like Jim Lee, or, he draws like, whatever, Rob Liefeld or Todd McFarlane. Like he didn't have a very mainstream style, I'd say, but you could tell he could draw and he can tell stories. Hey, Mr. Monkey Boy is here. Mr. Monkey Boy, I always drop the 1969, I'm sorry. Mr. Monkey Boy 1969. Hopefully that's okay. And I like that you have your little icon in the YouTube chat, but then Ecamm doesn't know what to do with it, so it always puts this oops and also this good vibes. I love that you keep calling out groomsmen. That's awesome. But every time I see oops, I'm like, oh wait, did you make a mistake? What happened? But it's not. It's just emoji that Ecamm can't understand. So yeah, like Shalvey's sense of color. He wasn't doing the coloring here. It was actually, I believe, Jordi Belair. Jordi Belair is coloring, come to mention it, she's coloring the Duke book right now. And from interviews I heard with Declan Shalvey, they used to date. And so they were dating or whatever. They had a relationship over the course of this Moon Knight book. But then they broke up, and so they don't work together anymore. I don't know. It sounds like it was amiable, but I guess that's like, issues when you're dating somebody you work with. But regardless, her color work really worked with his style very well. And the other thing that Declan Shalvey in his work, like he wasn't just a straight pen and ink guy. He had he started using these like tones. I don't know if you can tell, but these like ink wash tones. Oops, made you look. It's a monkey with a hammer. Yeah, I can see it in YouTube, the YouTube chat. I have it in the corner of my eye, opened up on a different monitor. So it's a shame that Ecamm can't translate that. It's just a monkey with a hammer, Ecamm. Come on. So yeah, and Warren Ellis always has these weird, mind-trippy stories that he tells, kind of dark. And Declan Shalvey's work just really merged well with it. I believe this was a this was a 6-issue series, so this compilation. And actually this compilation, guys, is really hard to find. I don't know if the print run was low or if they, I don't know, or if the demand was so high, but it's really hard to find these days. So I'm glad that I did get it. And then Warren Ellis and Shalvey introduced this like Khonshu, well, this version of the Khonshu god. So a lot of the work that they put into this series ended up on the TV show. Mr. Monkey Boy says, I like Jordy. She's cute. I don't think I've ever seen a picture of her, but that's cool. She's a great colorist. Really, really good colorist. And the thing I like about her colors is she doesn't just do like really beautiful, realistic renderings of stuff. She's super stylized with her color theory. And yet she also is, you can tell she's an incredibly competent and well-versed painter. And so combining those two is a great combination. And then on top of that, with Shalvey's ink tones and his ink work, they were just a great combination. It's really a shame that they don't really work together anymore. So he did these awesome things with panel layouts, very different. Like his storytelling for somebody who is new to the game, and granted, this wasn't the first series he worked on, but this is the one that got him the most notice, from my understanding. When he did this, people are like, whoa, this guy is amazing. He worked on like Thunderbolt, I think the new Thunderbolts before this, which was like, it was kind of like a B team, C team. But yeah, and each one of these stories, they didn't connect, they didn't entirely connect. They were almost self-contained. They did have some threads, but look at that. Like, that's awesome. He used his use of like graphic forms to really lead your eye. Like, he knows what he's doing. And he draws like these kind of grizzled hitmen really well. And you'll see that as I go into some of his later work. Anyway, awesome sequence. And he there's this page coming up that's one of my favorite pages of his work. But I just love how like, Moon Knight's perfect for like his cape, and he's kind of like the reverse Batman, right? His design with being all white and with black highlights. But it's just great to see him like in the sky and like just this graphic form of his cape and all this. You really can see him on each panel where he is and the flow of the action. Yeah, that's great sequence, great action sequence. This page is one of my favorite Declan Shalvey pages. When I hit this page, and granted all these pages up to it were awesome, but when I hit this page, I was like, this guy knows what he's doing. I love the negative space here and how these elements break that negative space. Like it's super flat. There's no detail in it at all. And it's like, it's almost like the panel layout. And then here it's all like rendered out. It's so good. I actually saw this original page is on sale on eBay for anybody interested. It's a little bit pricey for my wallet, but it's a good one. I'm very tempted. If anybody wants to just hand me a couple $1,000, very tempted. So, awesome fight sequences, great mood, great rendering, beautiful colors. The story was like super rich. Just a fun overall limited series that he came out with. And then this one, like he's predominantly this version of Moon Knight. And he's fighting these ghosts, really weird stuff here. Classic Warren Ellis, and having conversations with Khonshu. Like seeing this, just looking at this right now, and I have a lot to share with you guys after this of Declan Shalvey's work, but just seeing this, I so wish he was drawing Thundercats. And he's shown a couple of his covers that he is already made for the covers of Thundercats. and they're great. They look awesome. But I just wish he was drawing the whole book. And it's no knock on Drew Moss's work. He's a great illustrator, but there's something about Shalvey's art that just really resonates with me. He kind of has this, I don't know, it's not old school. See, it's not like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's not old school art. Like, he doesn't look like a classic artist like some of the like the guy who's drawing Duke. His name's Tom Riley. He has like a classic style to his artwork. It's clean. And there's a few artists. Chris Samney's another artist that kind of fits in that vibe, but that's not what Declan Shalvey's work does. And then again, right, like I said, he's not drawing like the Image guys or like Jim Lee or like Mark Silvestri or any of those guys. He just has his own flavor going. Oh, wait, he didn't draw. No, he didn't. See, and that's why I would have picked it up. Even if I didn't like the story as much, I would have picked it up because I love Shalvey's artwork. But no, he didn't. He didn't draw them. He's just writing it. And I think he's kind of, I feel like he's like trying to establish himself as a writer as well. And he's a good writer. He wrote, before he started Thundercats, he was working on an Aliens book, a whole Aliens limited series. Based off the movie, or not based off the movie, but that property from the movie. So I think probably for him to draw all this stuff, he wouldn't have enough time. So now he's kind of doing some projects as a writer, some projects as an artist, and then some projects as both. But yeah, that's why looking at this, look at this page, look at this spread. Let me try and get it. Look at the beautiful, like everything in this page. As far as art, the drawing, the inking, the coloring, so amazing. This was a weird story too. Like he in the real world, Moon Knight finds this dead. There's apparently like this mold growing in this empty room, and it transports him to this other dimension universe. It's really bizarre. And this mold like infects people's brains. Mark's Music Obsession says, I like this style. Yeah, it's great. It's a great style. And it's not very easy to pinpoint or to point to say, oh yeah, that's where Declan Shalvey, at least I can't. I don't know artists that I can compare him to that like, oh yeah, that's where Declan Shalvey's getting it. Like, he's his own thing. And I love it. I love that he is. And I love that he can draw, but more than that, he can storytell. He's a great storyteller as well. There's some artists out there that are just phenomenal artists. They can draw anything and they have a lot of style and pizzazz, but they're not that great storytellers. And he's different. He's got a very like gritty kind of, he's got a horror vibe to his stuff as well, which is cool. Look at this panel. How cool is that? The colors on that, like she colored it this kind of tannish yellow, but there's so much depth to it, and that has a lot to do with the tones that Shalvey's doing. But very cool. I've seen he's done some live streams, or I think it's like Instagram Live, or maybe even Twitch or something, where he's drawing and he's just drawing and has music playing in the background, and he's got a few bottles of different tones of ink wash that he'll layer up, and he's really confident with his artwork, with his drawing. So it's awesome to see. You guys should check it out. KSSS says, I had mold in an apartment like that 20 plus years. Yeah, that's not good. If you have mold that consumes you and takes you to another dimension, it's probably time to move. So I feel like these action sequences are based off the Raid, or that movie The Raid, where there's like people going different from floor to floor to floor, almost like a video game. I love it. Oh, I forgot I was gonna play a little bit of background music so that the pauses aren't so dead dead quiet. Let me know if you guys think that's a good idea. So yeah, this is great stuff. It's just kind of flexing now at this point. He's like, I don't know. I know the reception for the very first issue of this was really good. So I don't know if by this point where they're drawing, where he's on issue 6, if he was like, oh yeah, I'm Declan Shalvey. Okay, maybe that music's a little loud and distracting. Okay, so this was Moon Knight. So yeah, after that, I was just like, this guy is incredible. He's amazing. Then the next thing that I found out he did, and this might not be in chronological order. This was just how I discovered his work. But he did a story in this. He did this cover too. He does a lot of covers. He's done a lot of covers for a lot of different books. I think he did covers for Punisher, for Bloodshot. He had a run on those books. Yeah, a bunch of different books. And so he did this cover too, but he also did he wrote, did he write? Yes, he wrote and drew this story in here called Flatline. And so it's like, wow, can he do a Hulk story? And wait. And so in this story, he actually colored this one himself. And you can tell, I don't know if this was before or after he broke up with Jordy, but you can tell that, and he's even mentioned this before on interviews, that he learned a lot from watching her color his work. And you can see how that influences like this new stuff here. But this is kind of this interesting story about Bruce Banner kind of meeting up with this person who's about, who's I think is gonna die, and he's kind of confessing some stuff. But the other thing that I noticed with Declan Shalvey is he loves drawing old people, and he draws them really well. Like, keep an eye on this guy. This guy, you'll see in a future thing I'm about to share with you. Like, this guy's gonna hit, this style is gonna show up again. Hey, Comrade Sammy. Hiya. Looks like me and John were both late today. LOL. No worries. But guess what? You're first. It's okay. This is an impromptu stream, just trying out to see if Wednesdays is a good day for me to stream. So here's his Hulk. Very cool. But yeah, he likes to draw wrinkles. He draws wrinkles really well, and old people, and kind of like decaying things really well. It's awesome. The tones that he adds. All right, maybe this music is distracting for me. I'm gonna turn it down. The tones that he adds just add so much depth to, sorry for the glare, add so much depth to his work. Ah, that glare. But look at these, look at the subtleties of the differences in the greens and stuff. Really nice stuff. When this person's on their deathbed, he kind of has this tragic, like I said, he wrote this one, so he has this like tragic stories. He has a lot of people that are like on death's bed in his stories. Great storytelling here. Beep, beep, beep. Oh, this is a Kevin Nolan story. I think one of these streams or videos, you got to do Kevin Nolan. Kevin Nolan's amazing. He's a legend, and I got a lot of his work that we can look at. But that's for another day. And then he did this book. So that he did Hulk, and then he did this one shot for X-Men Unlimited, which I want to say he wrote. Did he write this too? I can't remember. We'll find out at the end with the credits. But again, not to belabor the point, but usually people start off with the splash page of a character and it's like coming at you or something, you know. And he's got these amazing like scene setting moments here that are very, very cinematic and sophisticated. I love it, just the pacing. And then we get the character. After I saw this comic, Jonathan Hickman was the writer on this. He's good. I like Jonathan Hickman's work. And Declan Shalvey was the artist, so I'm assuming he colored this one as well. But awesome stuff. So when I saw this issue, I was definitely a fan after Moon Knight, but after I saw this issue, I'm like, I am so in on this guy's work. This is great. Like, this kind of multi-panel stuff. He's studied other storytellers and comic artists, you can tell, and he's kind of using those methodologies and just kind of building up sequences with the techniques that he's doing. Look at all this, like, people, like burnt people. He's kind of into the gore, gruesome gore, but he makes it cool. And then there's, like, you can tell there's very little dialogue, but he's doing it all visually, telling a lot of the story visually. This is great. This guy is just getting punched over and over in the face by Logan. Kind of has, like, you know, I'm sure he's looked at like Frank Miller's work. Frank Miller is such an awesome comic. He's one of my favorite comic storytellers. This stuff, just great, awesome stuff. He's not afraid to play with scale. Like I said, most people are thinking splash page, big, bam, boom. And he's got Wolverine, this tiny little guy just kind of bouncing back and forth from wall to wall. This is MODOK. Fan favorite, MODOK. Really nice colors. They're not your typical color choices, but they really work. Beautiful stuff. Again, his tones. It's awesome. He's just a complete picture for me as an artist. And so like I said, yeah, after I saw this issue, I was like, okay, I am 100% on this dude's work. And actually at the same time, I found a site that was selling his original work. And so I bought a couple pieces of his original work. I don't have an easy way of showing you guys, unless I take it off the wall. Hang on. I'll do this just because it's you guys. 1 second. So this is from a different X-Men Unlimited, but check this out. This is an original Declan Shalvey page. Can you guys see that okay? How cool is that? As I have mentioned many times before, I'm a sucker for black and white comic art, just the art of it. But you put the actual original in front of me and I go crazy. I can't show it. Let's see. Maybe I can zoom out a little bit more. Even more? So you can see more of it. So the reason why I picked this page was, 1, it had Wolverine on it. 2, it just showed off the different framing and angles that Shalvey can draw and that he chose to draw, just the interesting panels that he chose to draw. And it showed his tone work, like these gray tones here. Like you can see it, and his ink work. It's a great page. Really, really good page. So yeah. So that's one of the pieces of original comic book. I don't have that many, but that was one of them. And that book, the X-Men book, was one of the reasons why I picked that up. Okay, so then, I think maybe I believe this series came, I think he worked on this before some of the other ones I just showed you, because he's still with Jordi. I think this came right, yeah, that's right. He worked on this series right after Moon Knight, because it's the same team. Warren Ellis, Declan Shalvey, and Jordi Belair. Hang on. KSS says, whoa, I love that. I also like the original black and white. It's great to see the inks. Yeah, there's nothing like it. When I work on my comic in the future, it's going to happen, guys. Don't worry. We're just building towards it. But when I do, I am for sure going to do traditional black and white inks, as opposed to all digital, just because that's so much of what I love about comics, and to totally streamline that process and make it all digital would defeat the purpose for me. So I love so much seeing the original art. That's why I buy so many of those like artist editions. And I was just watching Joe Sontag's stream last night. What is the name of his stream? Anyway, Joe is the creator of Reaper Destroyer. He's part of Comicsgate and the creator of Reaper Destroyer. And he was going over this book that was another black and white raw edition of The Darkness. And I saw it and I was like watching his stream, and I watched maybe 5 minutes of it. I'm like, okay, I got to buy that. And I found it and I bought it. So that's coming soon. So yeah, they worked on this series called Injection, and this was not a superhero book. It was more of a mystery, intrigue, horror book. But, oh man, I forgot what I have of this. Well, let's look at some of these pages, and then I'll show you something else that I have of this. Oh, actually, I have a video of it. I guess it's not a surprise, but I have a video of it. Yeah. I have a flip-through video of it in my flip-through playlist. It's called Injection, I want to say Artist Edition or Black and White Edition, something edition. But it's a bigger format book, and it's black and whites of, I want to say, the first issue of this. But that one is really cool to see without owning every single page of art. It's cool to see the black and white reprints. Awesome color work, great storytelling. You can see how this team just locked in with each other. Look at these colors. This is awesome. Such great choices by Jordi Belair. She can do realistic, she can do stylized, she can combine the two, she can do flat color, she does painted stuff, rendering. She's awesome. And I'm sure it's also because Declan Shalvey, I'm sure as an artist, as the pencil inker, he made a conscious decision not to do gray tones on this. So it flattens it out a little bit and gives it a different feel than the real world. But awesome decision. You can see the comparison of these two, real world and imaginary world. KSSS says, I understand the reason for digital, and I'm not necessarily against digital, but for me, I feel it loses something. It's less soul. Can't explain it. I agree. I mean, there's some incredible comic artists who draw all digital, and even makes it look like it can be traditional. Some it's wow, traditional. And I get it. I get why people do it. It definitely streamlines the process and whatnot. But I think a combo is probably a better methodology. But yeah, without seeing what I love so much about the traditional pencil and pen and ink on paper is you see the artist wrestling with the medium and correcting themselves, and just the hand touch. I love seeing whiteout and the splatters, the accidental marks, all that kind of the corrections, the cutting. when they have to cut and paste on top. I love seeing all that. And some of those artist edition books really scanned it in properly so you can see all the nuances of production in it, and it's just beautiful. It's just really like the artist and the medium combined. I saw this interesting post. There's this one artist that I follow on Twitter X named John Hendricks. You guys should look him up. Great illustrator, does illustrated books. And he did this little diagram of the difference between digital artists who are solely digital and artists that are solely traditional. And his argument was that artists that are solely traditional, and I don't know if I can summarize this totally properly, but they are more confident and more decisive because the amount of forks in the road that they have to take, or the amount of options that are available to them, are less than a digital artist, because digital artists have unlimited undos, and you can undo. And so your options, the options that you face and the decision making you have to face is infinite if you can undo every time. If you can take a couple steps down one path and go, that didn't work, and back up. And so you're almost less productive in that sense, while the artist who is traditional, and once you put that pen down and that brush down, you have to kind of commit to that decision. You're less likely to second guess yourself, because you're like, well, it's down there and I can't like totally destroy this whole piece of work that I've already started. So I'm just going to be confident in that and kind of work with that. So it was a fascinating diagram. He diagrammed it out visually, kind of the explanation. It's such a fascinating study, and like so many people responded to it. They were just like, that's so true. And I agree with it. I find that like if I start sketching digitally, like I just pulled out my sketchbook, a bigger sketchbook of mine, where I'm like, I got to sit down and just draw in the sketchbook as opposed to sketching digitally. Because when I sketch digitally, I just end up having like 1,000 layers that have like 2 or 3 marks on it, as opposed to if I draw in my sketchbook, like you just kind of fight with it until you get it to do what you want it to do. KSSS says, LOL, yeah, I like seeing corrections. It helps you realize it's fine to not be perfect every panel. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So, anyway, this is Injection. There's this whole mystery. This takes place in like Great Britain, Ireland area. And that's one thing that Declan Shalvey loves to do, is kind of insert his culture, his country into his work. And I love that he kind of draws from his own experience. Here's another creepy old person. Loves the creepy old people. But just a lot of mood. The premise of Injection is there's kind of this, I guess, a secret society, and there's an injection that's like infecting the world. I can't remember if the secret society people were injected or if it was the rest of the world was. I think the secret society was. I'm gonna go back and reread it. But anyway, there's all these phenomena that happen that is unexplained, and they're kind of figuring it out. So things like the Stonehenge kind of mystical stuff happening. Kind of gore, so seeing reoccurring themes in Shalvey's work. Mr. Monkey Boy says, hey, I'm old and creepy. I'm glad you had to declare that. I'm pretty sure you don't look like these drawings, though. At least I hope not. Yeah, he just goes for it. He goes for it. This guy's taking a box cutter to the eyes. It's pretty brutal. This is an injection symbol here. It's cool. It's a neat story. I think it was supposed to be an ongoing series. I think like they're supposed to continue on beyond what they did, but something happened I want to say something controversial happened with Warren Ellis. I don't know, I didn't keep up with it. But, and then he disappeared from comics for a while, and Shalvey went on to do his own thing. I'm assuming somewhere in there, him and Jordy broke up. So yeah, so the band broke up after that. That's volume 1. There's 3 volumes of this. I'll just go through the second one. You guys get the idea. But I recommend you guys check out the Injection Artist Edition that I did a flip through from. It's really cool to see Declan Shalvey's black and white work. Cool stuff. I love that it's not just, oh yeah, this was weird. They were eating this like meat. It was really weird. This was like people. They were like eating on people. It was gross. Warren Ellis is weird. Writes weird stuff, but it's so fascinating, the stories he tells. That. Graham Ingalls drew me. Graham Ingalls? Who's Graham Ingalls? I don't know Graham Ingalls. Should I know Graham Ingalls? I probably should. It sounds familiar, but I could be totally wrong. And did he draw you old and creepy too? KSSS says controversy with Warren Ellis? I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, I figured as much. There's been so much controversy around different artists and writers that it's really hard to follow these days. I usually stop at like, did you write a good book? Did you draw a good book? Okay, cool, awesome. I don't really want to know about your private life necessarily. Oh, EC Comics. Oh, okay. Wow, you're Mr. Monkey Boy. You've got some deep comics knowledge. I love it. This is gross, but the colors are awesome. Oh, this beautiful, this like, you can see the gray tones here. Beautiful. Really nice coloring on this. As you can see it, can you see the like, it's like cool colors and that like kind of muted, dull gray tones. Then like the little hits of warmth on it. Just feels like this cold Irish countryside day. It's nice. Awesome colors. Yeah, all sorts of stuff going on here. But this was Injection. You get the feel for the vibe of the book. Hello. Some weird stuff going on there. That's very Warren Ellis, I'm assuming. It's cool. I feel like just kind of seeing this, like Shalvey, he's not, I don't say not, but I would gander that superhero books are not his thing. He does them, and he has done them, but this is more along the vein of where his brain is. And you'll see, we're going to talk about one of his creator-owned books. Ooh, look at that, that's awesome. One of his creator-owned books called Old Dog that came out, that he put out. And that, I feel like, is something that just is his, that's his wheelhouse, that genre. Lots to love in these books, in this series. Highly recommend it. It's great, interesting, and the artwork is stunning. And I feel like Shalvey working with Warren Ellis probably taught him a thing or two about how writing stuff. Okay, just keep an eye on this guy. And that other guy that I pointed out in the Hulk book, just watch, because when we talk about Old Dog, you're going to see. So yeah, I feel like he learned a thing or two just working so closely with Warren Ellis for these few series that it really leveled him up as his own writer. Then there's this third book. I won't flip through it, but you guys get the idea of Injection. All right. Now, I am just checking the time. Can't go too long today because I gotta go pick up my kids. Here's Old Dog. Check that out. So this is an ash can that came out, signed by Declan Shalvey. I think I got this on eBay. He put out a timed, he has a Substack newsletter, which I'd love to know what you guys think about Substack. Do you guys subscribe to any Substack newsletters? Like, is that really, I know there's a few major comic creators who have a Substack newsletter, and I'm subscribed to a couple of them. But does that interest you guys at all? It's just another way of getting content out there, getting reviews out there, getting opinions out there. I feel like if you have something to say, it's probably worth doing. But like Declan Shalvey puts out one every 2 weeks, and he calls it, oh my gosh. His YouTube channel is called Tape Deck, which is pretty funny. And he has recommendations in his Substack newsletter, and it's called his Deck Recs. But his newsletter it has a certain name that's also with Declan. But anyway, so I'm subscribed to his newsletter, becoming a fan of his, and one of the things, he had like a timed release of this ash can. And unfortunately, because he lives in Ireland, his timing of when he releases it is more favorable for those in the East Coast than they are on the West Coast. And so I missed out on all of them when they got snatched up from his shop when he released them. He only printed, I guess, 125 of them. But then I found it on eBay and bought it. It wasn't too expensive. And it's nice because it's signed, it's numbered, and it's in black and white, which is my favorite. And he was already hyping up this series coming out. So here's Old Dog. Does that look familiar or what? But it's awesome to see in black and white what he's done here. And you can just see his work, the pure tones of it. And Old Dog's a great series. Again, there's this weird, mysterious, not everything's explained. There's like a kind of a horror vibe to it. It's steeped in like espionage. But that's kind of his, like I said, his wheelhouse is like this espionage, spy kind of feel to his work. Hey, awesome one. Why the sad face thumbnail? Did I put a sad face thumbnail? Me? Do I have a sad face? Or are we talking about Old Dog? Let me know. I don't mean to be sad. I'm actually quite happy talking about Shalvey's work. He's great. Beautiful panel here. Oh, you can see can you see the wash, the ink wash here that he did in the silhouette? Great choice. This was a cheesy line, but I loved it anyway. He popped a dude's eye out. So yeah, he released this ash can, and then he gave a little bit of, oh, that's it, Art Deco. Is that clever? Art Deco, Deck Recs, Tape Deck. He did this little preview of the series and what it was about and the characters. Old Dog, this is Old Dog. His codename is Rottweiler, and he's like a retired spy, like hitman kind of, and part of this very dark underground agency. And something happens to him, and then he kind of comes to and realizes, oh, like what happened? And so they kind of integrate him back into this society, but he's trying to figure out like what it was. There's this event that happened that he's missing in part of his memory. And then his daughter, her codename's Retriever, get it? Rottweiler Retriever. She is assigned to be his, I don't want to say partner, but kind of his partner, almost like she's keeping an eye on him as well. He's got these great layouts here. My as in you drew this guy. Why the sad face thumbnail? My as in you drew this guy. I'm sorry. I'm not putting that sentence together. My a as in you drew this guy. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not following. Anyway, cool. So this was the ash can. And then there's a lot of hype, anticipation. This was issue 1. Love this cover. And Old Dog has this like gash here. They don't really explain it. There's this weird stuff with him of like, he's like young in some, like this is taking place in the past and this is like young him. So you're like, oh, okay, that's young him. But then the way he ages, it's really interesting and kind of mysterious because his age has something to do with him. Something happened to him that affects his age, and he's like kind of aging in this very weird way in the real world, hence the name Old Dog. My, as in you drew this guy. Your stream title, My. Yes, my stream title, My. Why the sad face thumbnail? My, as in you drew this guy. I'm not getting it. Okay, so again, look at the colors. So Shalvey's doing his own colors here. He's doing all that writing and all the art. And this is, oh, I didn't even go into it. This is an independently produced book. It came out through Image, but this is all him. This is his creation. So you can see how everything that I showed so far, Moon Knight and Injection and stuff he was doing for Marvel and stuff, like how it's all leading into this. That page awesome. So yeah, some sort of like device that he blows up and it causes him, kind of screws him up. And see, he's like young here. And old here. It's like, what is going on? Like I had to go back and like, did they make a mistake or am I tracking? And then his face is melting off here. So there's something going on with that. And they give a little bit more hints of it as the series goes on, but they don't fully explain it. Hopefully I don't spoil much for you guys. It's really cool. Okay. I'm gonna move a little quicker here because see the time ticking. Oh, okay, this issue is cool, and I'll show you why in a second. So I saw I think issue 1 came out, and then that same company that was selling his original art through, once Old Dog came out, they're like, ooh, we have, original pages from Old Dog. And I was like, oh man, original pages from Old Dog. How cool is that? Look at that, that's awesome. It's got this like Born Identity feel to it, like jumping in the like slums of some undisclosed country from rooftop to rooftop. Mission Impossible. Like this is what he loves. The colors are great. It just feels like, again, as he was probably influenced by Warren Ellis with his writing, I feel like he was definitely influenced by Jordi Belair with his coloring, because he did some nice choices here with his colors and works really well his style. Okay, so hang with me right here for this part. This was a little indulgent, you might say, but look at that. So I bought this original page. Let me zoom out a little bit here. For this page here. And there was quite a few that were for sale. Oops, I almost knocked my camera off the desk. But the reason why I picked this one, was there's some nice storytelling moments here There's a clear shot of Old Dog in this panel. And again, just interesting panels that he picked to show, that just showed off his artwork and his art style. And here's the last panel there. I loved. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece of artwork. So I've got 2 originals by Declan Shalvey. And like I said earlier, I would love that Moon Knight one, but that one is more expensive than both of these combined. Awesome one says, so a 2 or 3 color palette comic. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because the way that he colors, and I'd say even the way Jordi Belair colors, is not like every color in the Crayola box. But the way they use the colors and the colors that they pick are great. Great choices. Everybody, wow, pretty cool. Yeah. Then I got this special Spawn cover that he did for... There was just a month where everybody was including Spawn on the cover of their book. So randomly, Old Dog here is shooting at Spawn, but I just wanted Declan Shalvey's version of Spawn. Pretty awesome. Look at the subtlety of these colors. And they're in this like cold, like Russia location. His daughter, he even mentions in one of the behind the scenes pages of how he really loved Chris Samney's version of Black Widow. And so this character, Retriever, is very much influenced by it, and she's got this red hair. But it's so cool to see it in this like muted, white, cold, icy, like, you know, gulags or whatever. And then you see her red hair. It's just a great storytelling of it. And then like the red in his scar. Here's another old person at the end of their life. Mark's music session. It is cool. I would love to have more original sheet music notes from musicians that I love. Sadly, most of it is very pricey. I do have a couple pieces. Nice. This is a funny side story. I have a very, very good friend of mine who is a composer in LA. And his name's Ryan Shore. He is just a phenomenal dude, stand-up dude. We just get along. The first job I worked with him and hired him for, like, we just clicked. And so he's become a very, very good friend of mine. And he worked with us on a few projects when I was working at my animation studio. And he had composed some original things. And one of the gifts he gave me at the end of the job was he printed out the melody on music paper and then signed it and framed it for me. So it's just cool to see, like, wow, this is like the original, you know, music that he wrote printed out. It's awesome. I always love those kind of things, those little touches or those little just pieces of original stuff is great. Awesome one says, if you put that in your bathroom, it will encourage people to use it quicker. Good for large families. Yeah. Sure. I would never put that in my bathroom though, because then the water damage. Today it just dumped, like the California rains have been hitting us, and it in the middle of the day, right when I went to the comic book store, it dumped. And for good, I brought a plastic bag, a reusable plastic bag to carry my comics in, but I was just like, this is the worst for New Comic Day, is to have a rainy day. So, this page was for sale too, but more expensive because it's one full splash page of the main character. But that's a great image of Old Dog. He loves drawing these like complicated step fights. It's just cool to see what he likes to draw, what he likes to put into his books, and see it all come together in his own original book. I'm assuming it's going to be like that. I mean, that's like that for every artist, right? You draw what you love, you draw what you know, and it just, whether you like it or not, it's coming out in your work. So the other thing that was awesome about this was Comrade Sammy says, nah, rainy days are awesome. I love them. You know what? I hate rainy days. I've had very, very bad experiences with rain, to the tune of my house has flooded a number of times, like freak floods. So I don't like the rain at all. None of my family likes the rain at all. And I have serious like PTSD when it rains hard. We've since moved from the house that flooded because it flooded. But yeah, I don't like rain at all. It's sad because, you know, who doesn't like to be in your warm house on a rainy day? But every time it rains, I'm just like, I get really tense. What I was going to say was the other cool thing about this was Old Daw, because this is his own series and he was doing all the art, all the writing, he was in control of the whole thing. He also was in control of like the presentation and the layout. And so the paper for this book is different. The cover paper is different. It's like this matte, a little bit heavier stock. And then the inside paper is a little heavier than normal, some comic books, not normal comic books, but some comic books. And it reproduces his colors really well. So it's cool that he had a hand in all that he cares about that stuff. And you see it in creator-owned books, right? Like Shant's book or any of the other creator-owned books, like you have to, the ones that I feel like are the most successful and the most meaningful are those where you can see the artist or the creator really cares about every single aspect of the book. I think I will be like that when I produce my book. Not to like toot my own horn, but like those details matter. And for those of you who will be getting Shant's book or have already gotten it, you can see that, you can tell that it matters to him, that it's presented in the best possible way and that the quality that you're getting is worth your money. And I feel that way with Declan Shalvey as well. Like he's putting his thought and touch on everything. Awesome sequence here. Look at these colors. Fantastic. So different, so unusual, but really effective. Oh, Ryan did the Scooby Gang. You got some high-class bros, Rocky. Ryan did the Scooby Gang. Oh! You're talking about Ryan Shore. Okay. Yes, he did work on some Scooby-Doo, like direct-to-video stuff. He's worked on some Star Wars stuff, some miniseries for that. He's one of like a handful of composers that have been allowed to work on Star Wars. We actually got him that job, so pat on my own back for that. And he is also the nephew. I don't know if he would care. He doesn't know about my YouTube channel anyway, and I don't know if he would care, but he is the nephew of Howard Shore, who is the Academy Award-winning composer of Lord of the Rings. So he's from good pedigree. But Ryan, he's a phenomenal composer, but more than that, he is just an awesome guy. Just such a nice guy. Really, really nice guy. And we just have a lot of laughs and a lot of fun when we meet up. Awesome One says, it's been wet and soggy and dark for nearly 3 weeks. Ugh, yeah, it's not been great. Yesterday we had a sunny day and I was able to take a walk with a friend and that was nice. I was like, I gotta get outside and like get some fresh air and sun. And that was nice. And then today it got rainy again. Someday my prince will come, Mr. Monkey Boy. Oh, I'm assuming you're talking about him being related to Howard Shore. Yeah, he's got some funny stories about that. He actually interned for his uncle. Also, yeah, some of his classmates. This is talking way too much about Ryan, but some of his classmates are like incredible composers in their own right. One of his classmates was Alex Lacamoire, who he was the main orchestration guy and composer on Hamilton, the musical, and Wicked, and so yeah, pretty awesome. Yeah, so this is issue 5. Let me just blow through this really quick. This is where it gets weird. It gets really weird. There's all this like alien. They don't even explain it. He doesn't even explain it. Even when this first run ends, he doesn't even explain it. But all this like alien technology kind of stuff happening, which is part of the reason that Old Dog is infected, and it kind of is part of the explanation of what happened to Old Dog, but it's not really explained. But it's cool. It's like very bizarre and interesting and creepy. And look at this. Like, what the heck is going on here? Beautiful spread. Amazing spread. And I was like, oh, he used that for the cover. No, he drew another weird, like, internal organ mutation spread for the cover. I love this. Mark's Music Obsession says, we have had some sunny days, but I'm waiting on my warm weather to return. This is Florida, right? Yeah. I mean, you guys get way more rain and inclement weather than we do here in California. But we're kind of climate wimps in California, I'd say. But it has been raining pretty hard recently. But we are kind of climate wimps. I was just talking to a friend the other day, like, when it just starts drizzling, people here just panic. They don't know how to drive. They, like, freak out and, like, are you like, don't go out. It's really bad. But it's like, it's not that bad. It's just, we just don't know how to handle it. I had a friend who had a friend in Skillet. That's as close to famous bands I am. Nice. That's cool. Wow. Is that wow for the spread? Or wow for Alex Lackamore? So now look, he's young, but his daughter's still the same age. So yeah, they didn't, again, it's not totally explained, but then he's getting old here. It's really weird. It's very weird. But I feel like, and he's old here. Look, I can't track it, Declan. But I feel like he's setting something up for the long game, like the long story. Yeah, just kind of finish up here. You can see Declan Shalvey is just amazing, in my opinion. Great artist, great writer, putting out some good stuff. I love, love, love that Old Dog is his original creation, that he put a lot of time and effort into it. After this, he started doing more writing, so he's writing for Aliens, and then now Thundercats. He did something else in between, I thought. I can't remember. There's also the... I love the series so much that I bought the graphic novel compilation. It's the whole book, just all in one. It's all those issues I just showed you guys. But I love it. It smells nice, too. That nice paper. And it was only $9.99. What a bargain for that. So go get it, you guys. If you liked seeing Old Dog at all, I recommend this. I mean, you could pick up the individual issues, too, but it's nice to have it all in one. And then he did a... Declan Shalvey did a... Was it Kickstarter? I think it was Kickstarter. For... he's doing a, like... Art of Making of book for Old Dog on Kickstarter. So all his like process stuff. And when he mentioned that, I was all over that on social media. I was like just posting it out there. I was like, everybody needs to fund this because I want this book to be made. And then it got funded, and so it is being made. And he's mentioned that they're kind of in the home stretch of producing it. So I'm super excited to get that. And when it comes, I'll probably either videotape it or do a stream about it, because I love process stuff. I love Declan Shalvey stuff. And so finally, this Art of book. Hang on. Awesome One says the guy plays cello in a band and he hung out with us after the concert. Cool. That's awesome. It's fun to meet people that are like, quote unquote, successful or famous or whatever you want to say. And you just realize they're just people. Most of them are just people. I've never met anybody so famous that they weren't relatable. But I've met a few famous people in my lifetime, and for the most part, they're just people, you know, and they're just either really passionate about what they do or just have done really well and successful in what they've done. But at the end of the day, they put their pants on the same way we do, right? One leg at a time. Or, I don't know, some of you might be able to put pants on 2 legs at a time. So the last Declan Shalvey book I'll look at is this one. Marvel put this out. They put this out. This was before Old Dog came out, so Marvel put this out 2019? Yeah, maybe 2019, 2020 maybe. Which is great. More Declan Shalvey stuff. And they go into like his Marvel stuff, obviously. Let's see, do I need to zoom out a little bit? Yeah, they go into his Marvel stuff. And it kind of shows you the progression of his career. From Ireland to Underbolts. So yeah, he worked on Thunderbolts. I heard that, is it Thunderbolts? I think they're coming out with a collection soon of his Thunderbolt stuff, that his Thunderbolt stuff will be included in. I've never read it. I've never been really interested in the Thunderbolts, but knowing that he worked on it, I'd be pretty interested in seeing it. But then he also did a lot of covers for stuff for Marvel that they'll go into here. This is Captain America and Crossbones #1. I haven't picked up. I should go through this book and just start collecting the work that he's done based on this book, because there's a lot of stuff in here that I really like. I'm getting another wow from Awesome One. Do you like his work, Awesome One? I hope so. I hope those are real authentic wows, because I love his work. And like I said, I feel like not enough people talk about him. He's popular for sure, and he's a great creator, but I just feel like he's way more, deserves a lot more attention than he's getting, just because he's like triple threat. He can do it all. And I want to see him, to be honest, I want to see him focusing more on producing more original stuff, because he's totally capable of it. You saw it in Old Dog. And the more that he can produce work that he owns, the better for him in the long run. And he probably knows that. I think these other gigs that he gets, like these other writing gigs and cover gigs, pay him more money than producing his own book. But he's super talented, and I love his original take on things. So look at these covers. So good, right? These are for Venom. Awesome One says, I think Thunderbolts were like the government. Yeah, I think you're right. We're like the government using superheroes. I think you're absolutely right. I love his take on the Venom stuff. Some of his original designs here. Ghost Rider, Venomized Punisher designs. Doesn't that guy look kind of like Old Dog? This was like, he was doing covers for Deadpool and Old Man Logan. This is before Old Dog. Yeah, his version of Deadpool is great too, like from the covers that he did. Like, you really feel like he's a dude wearing a costume and that there's something underneath. Look at that. Deadpool and Punisher, that's a great combo for him as an artist. I've heard many interviews with him saying that people ask him, like, what's the one character that you would love to work on? And I think he said Daredevil. Like, he hasn't had a chance to work on Daredevil yet. And he'd be great. He'd be great Daredevil. He's like, yeah, his style and his storytelling is a lot more gritty than this, like, you know, superheroes and intergalactic stuff. Like, he's definitely more like dirty in the alleyways kind of artist. His artwork looks like. I saw this Deadpool. I almost got this Deadpool on eBay. This artwork, really awesome. It was a little pricey for me though. I gotta slow down on buying original art. Some cool designs for Wolverine's costume. If John was here, I'd tell him I'm using butter on my grilled cheese. Yeah, where is John? Come on, John. We've given you... Comrade Sammy, where's John? We've given him enough time. Given him enough leadway to roll in here and be like, I'm here, guys. And we'd be like, yeah, John's here. It's getting to that point where now we're going to be like, too late, John. Nah, I'm just kidding. Grilled cheese sounds good. I could do with a grilled cheese. Awesome stuff. The cool thing about seeing Shalvey's covers is you can tell it's just got a great sense of composition and storytelling just within one panel, right? With one cover, you can tell a great story already. And that's not easy to do. Like this, right? Like that. If you had to describe it, it's like, oh, Wolverine's sticking his claws through Deadpool's head. But what the angle he chose, the expression, this like one closed eye, how he shows the claws going through, it's great. It adds a whole different dimension, and that's the beauty of storytelling, right? It's not just about drawing what's literally there. It's like adding layers to the meaning of stuff that goes into it, into every image. Mark's Music Obsession says, was looking through my large vintage Star Wars collection I had since I was a kid and found a container of comic toys I bought back in the early 90s. I need to check prices on. Ooh. Do you deal with like eBay selling stuff? I know you do like music, like vintage things, so maybe you're more versed at it than I did. I tried to sell some of my old toys just to make room for things. But I tried to sell some of my old toys on eBay this summer, and I hired my son to help me catalog and take photos and stuff, and we made some money, but like it is a lot of work just to like post that stuff up and like make sure it looks nice and take good pictures and write the description and research the prices. Man, it takes a lot of work. I love this Moon Knight image. The Venom reference reminded me because some Venom stuff spawned, etc. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. I know at the end of the day, there's like a lot of toys that I had that like, oh, I want to sell this. I don't want it anymore. And it could sell much, but like the amount of effort and then to sell it, like I'd make like $1. Some things I made like, oh, I made 50 cents. Great. There's that panel that I was looking at in the Moon Knight thing. It's awesome. Here's some thumbnails that he did. And you can see the eventual panel that he picked. Like this one is this one. It's fun. Fun studies to see. Here's his designs for Mr. Knight, the kind of business suit version of Moon Knight. And there's that page. Remember that page we were looking at earlier in the Moon Knight where it was all the amazing colors? Like here's the black and white for it. It still looks great. You can see the tones. Matt Houghton. Howdy, y'all. Finally made it to a live one. Hey, Matt. Nice to meet you. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, I'm just talking about this artist, Declan Shalvey, today. Great work. Done a lot of awesome work. He's the writer on the new Thundercats that just came out today. And I didn't pick up that book for various reasons that I went into at the beginning of the stream, but he is one of my favorite creators, especially as an artist / writer, so that's what we're looking at right now. But welcome, it's nice to meet you. Awesome One says, yo Matt, I've had an eBay account since 2000, haven't sold lately, but have lots of experience with eBay. Cool. Yeah, I mean it's like a full-time job, like to like manage that stuff and really do it well. So kudos. I fizzled a little bit on it. I should get back on it because I do have stuff to sell that I should sell just to make a couple extra bucks, but yeah, effort versus return is like Look at all these thumbnails of his panel layouts. It's awesome. Love seeing this work. Love it, love it, love it. Let's do the pencils here. And then the pencils versus the inks and the colors. You remember some of these pages that we flipped through in that Moon Knight book. There's that one page I was telling you guys that I almost bought. Black and white versus color. Some of the scans in this book aren't that great, which is surprising. It's not like his artwork is hard to find. It's like, you know, late. He's in the 2000s already, so I can't imagine. I don't know why some of the scans were not well done. But it's good. It's a great book. If you like his work, I recommend this book. Until they come out with an even better one. But this is awesome. Oh yeah, he did some covers for Civil War II. I think maybe he was drawing some of it too. Yeah. Script pencils and inks. So he's kind of gaining more notoriety and more trust from Marvel to handle their properties. And then here are some various covers. Oops. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe as I wrap this up. Guardians of the Galaxy. Here's a Daredevil. So like, look at that. Can you imagine him doing a whole miniseries or a book for Daredevil? He'd be perfect for Daredevil. Like, he's so built to do a great Daredevil series. I hope he gets one soon. Other than me just wanting him to focus on his own book, seeing him do Daredevil would be stellar. It's great, great Punisher. See the storytelling? It's awesome. It's great. This is a cover on a book. Like, how unusual is that? But it's amazing. Amazing drawing, amazing composition, a lot of mood. I thought there was something, maybe I was wrong. Maybe it was, oh yeah, look at this. I love pointing this stuff out. Look at this detail. I'll zoom in. You guys will get a kick out of this. Look at the lights in the building. That's storytelling for you. Isn't that cool? So good. Awesome One says, I found a DVD that was priced $130 elsewhere, but found out for about $25 from Malaysia. It was real, and I got it on eBay. eBay is amazing. It's really amazing. It's also scary because you can easily spend a lot of money on it. Oh, here's another storytelling thing. These are all covers for Punisher. So I feel like he was just trying to hide skulls wherever he could. See that skull? I love that. Love that. It's like so interesting, so smart. And there's a bunch of dead bodies floating, bleeding. Just got killed by these sharks. This gets great cover. It's actually like this, right? But I think the book was presented like this, like with the title up here. So awesome. Like, you just know. And then I'm going to zoom in here again. These are fun. I haven't looked at these in a while. Can you see that little face there? Can I zoom in more? Whoop. Look at that face. That guy's gonna die. Punisher's about to put a bullet through in his face. Here again, hidden skulls, or not so hidden skulls. And you can see this whole story happening here in the train. There's Punisher right there, and these guys getting shot in silhouette underneath the like city streets. This is in the subway. It's awesome. The colors are great. So good. Absolutely, I had to uninstall it. That's probably smart, Matt. That is probably smart, because I'm always checking. I'm like, oh, I wonder what's in my watch list now. What's being like, what's showing up in my watch list? Yeah, that's probably really smart. This was before AI cool. Here's another thing. Like, yeah, the Punisher, I see a skull. You see the red light. Genius. And then in here is a silhouette. There's like gunshots. I don't know if you can tell. These are all bullet holes around here. I think Cloonan and Dillon is reference to Steve Dillon, who drew Punisher, and maybe Becky Cloonan. But Dillon was a great Punisher artist. He passed away recently, maybe like two years ago, 1 year, 2 years ago. But great, he's a British artist that drew Punisher, well known for his Punisher. There's another skull. Wow, they're everywhere. It's awesome. Like I said, masterful storyteller. No skulls here because this is Magneto, but great composition, great cover. Another one here. Spider-Man 2099. He's like his Spider-Man. Some X-Men here. Warlock. This is probably a favorite of his, since Banshee is one of the few Irish superheroes. Black Bolt. This is Black Panther. Beautiful. This was for Meet the Skrulls, Winter Soldier. That would be another series that he would do good in, I think, is Winter Soldier. Here's a nice X-Men spread. Ah, look at that. Oh yeah, he did do some Star Wars covers. He did Star Wars. He's done some Aliens covers. Did he do a Predator? I want to say he did a Predator cover. Not sure. Check out this. It's a Daredevil story. I don't know how many pages this was. Excuse me, but you can tell he's just primed for Daredevil. There you go, Declan Shalvey. I've interacted with him a little bit on social media here and there. I think he probably knows. I'm sure he doesn't put two and two together, but I've definitely fanned out on him on social media and stuff. Both on Instagram. He goes on Instagram Live every now and then and does some live things. He's on YouTube. I've been in his YouTube chat before. So you guys should check it out. Check out Declan Shalvey's YouTube channel. I believe it's called Tape Deck. And subscribe to his newsletter if you like his work. Buy his books. Definitely be on the lookout for Old Dog. The behind the scenes of Old Dog, that book he did on Kickstarter. I don't think you can buy it anymore, but they might do a second chance campaign or something. But he is planning on doing more Old Dog stuff, so keep an eye out for that. Is there anything else on Declan? I don't think so. Yeah, that's all my Declan Shalvey stuff. There's more that I missed that I don't have that I need to collect, but just a lot of good stuff. And if you can find this, I would get this. This is great. This is a great introduction to him. You can definitely find Old Dog, so get that. But if you can find this, get this. This was hard to find, and it's worth it because it's really, really good. Thanks, awesome one. So yeah, that was it. That's my tribute to Declan Shalvey. I'm a huge fan of his work. Maybe one day I can get him to be on my show. That would be so cool, wouldn't it? To be able to interview him. That's actually one thing I want to do soon in the future, is not only continue the different shows that I've been doing, like with my Wednesday comics, with my buddies, the Super Nostalgia. We got, we're probably going to do Inferno next. Comics, yeah. Comics, nah. I definitely want to do, whether that's with my buddy Marty or another friend. I definitely want to have Marty back because he's great. But I don't want to also force him to buy more comics. But maybe that's the point. But I definitely want to do that show where I'm trying to introduce a comic to somebody who might not know that much about comics and see if they like it. But one thing I did want to introduce, or one thing I wanted to kind of create a show on or do content for, is to interview comic creators. And I know a few, nobody big, other than Shanth. But I do want to interview other independent creators and have them on. So I have a few people lined up that I want to ask, but maybe that's something I can kind of push forward. It would be awesome to get somebody like Declan Shalvey on, but he's kind of huge, so I don't know if he would have time to do something like that. But you never know. Let's storm his YouTube and say, hey, you should be on Rocky's channel. He loves your work. But anyway, that's my Wednesday comics this Wednesday. I didn't pick up anything actually, I did pick up something at the store. Let me just show you really quick. I could go on forever, guys. Sorry. I do have to end it. But I picked up this. This was really fun that I saw in the store. I didn't get well, let me do it. This would probably be better. I didn't pick up Thundercats, but I picked up this book called Bad Company by Peter Milligan, and it's a British book, but it's really fun. Kind of, it's in the 2000 AD world, like where Judge Dredd comes from. But it's fun. It's a fun black and white book. I love it. it's inspired me for a particular idea that I'm starting to work on. So, but I did pick up this. I didn't pick up Thundercats, unfortunately, but not picking up Thundercats still made me go, you know what? Declan Shalvey is such a genius. I want to talk about his stuff. And I had it on my list of things I wanted to talk about on stream. So there you go. That's this week of my Wednesday comics with Declan Shalvey, or about Declan Shalvey. Let's see. The chat. Thanks for everybody here. Comrade Sammy, boo, John was a no-show. Boo, John. Boo. Negative 100 points. Mark's music obsession was a good, relaxing stream, Rocky. Thank you. Thanks for saying that. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Glad it was chill. I think that's the name of the game. I can't be hyped up. The only time I was hyped up is when I was opening up Shant's book. I mean, I'm hyped up, but that's not my personality. I'm pretty chill. KSSS says, this was a great stream. Very informative and enlightening. I'm glad. Glad to hear it, KSSS. Thank you for popping in at the beginning. Nobody was here at the beginning, and I started really getting freaked out. I was like, am I just going to be talking about? So I love the chat. Love you guys being here. It gives me energy. It's a conversation, right? It's not a monologue. So it helps like spur me on and start the flow when people show up in the chat. So thank you so much. Like and subscribe, people, if you haven't already. Thank you for those of you who have and have showed up. Shant is great. Matt Houghton said he is. He's one of my closest friends in this realm and has been for a long time. So I'm glad that you guys are feeling that and know him as well in that way. And I'd love to be doing more with Shant too, both on YouTube and in comics. So we're talking about a lot of stuff. Him more so than me. He's just constantly punching me in the face to do more. So we're getting there. Baby steps. Mr. Monkey Boy 1969 says, interview the Happy Tree Friends. You know, I was thinking of having the creator, one of the creators, Ken Navarro, is a good friend of mine. I was thinking of having him on. He loves comics. Actually, I'm going to write Ken's name down because he could talk a lot about comics, and he's a bigger nerd than I am. So yeah, maybe I'll have him on. Ken Navarro. And then the other creator of it is a guy by the name of Rody Montijo, who is also a great comic book artist. He did a book called, an independent book, a long time ago in the 2000s, early 2000s, called Pablo's Inferno. And he independently produced that. So Rhodey's awesome. Now he's doing children's books, but maybe I can try and get him on too. That'd be cool. Good idea, guys. Good idea, Mr. Monkey Boy 1969. Avita Zane, Comrade Sammy, thank you. Everybody else who was here, Mark's Music Obsession, Awesome One, Matt Houghton, Mark's Music Obsession, I said that already. Comrade Sammy, Mr. Monkey Boy, KSSS, all you guys, thank you so much for being here. And not John. No, we love John. I'll see you guys next time. Ciao.